Taking care of your eyes shouldn't be a hassle. That's why Warby Parker is a one-stop shop for all your vision needs. Our prescription glasses and sunglasses are expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Stop by a nearby store or use our app to virtually try on frames and get personalized recommendations. Did we mention we offer eye exams and take vision insurance too? For everything you need to see, head to your nearest Warby Parker store or visit warbyparker.com today. That's warbyparker.com.
We all prefer things a certain way, like groceries. If you want groceries just how you like them, you gotta try Instacart. They have a new preference picker that lets you pick how ripe or unripe you want your bananas. Shoppers can see your preferences up front, helping guide their choices. Because when it comes to groceries, the details matter. Instacart. Get groceries just how you like.
Over 90 of the top 100 U.S. accounting firms trust Bill to handle bill pay processes. Why? Because our tools are built on over $1 trillion of secure payments. We're not just moving money. We're powering financial workflows for 500,000 customers. That's a level of expertise you just can't fake. Ready to talk with an expert? Visit Bill.com/proven to get started and grab a $250 gift card as a thank you. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
Welcome to Aran Island This, a podcast series where we talk to Irish people from different walks of life as they reflect on their own journeys. Join me, Rossa McDermott, as we explore the many aspects of Irishness and what it means to each of our guests through life's ups and downs. Pat Byrne, welcome to Aran Island This. And the first tricky question is, have you been to Aran Islands?
Well, I know I'm always been told to, maintain the spoof, but I can't maintain the spoof and I have to come clean here. And with a lot of shame on my face, no, I've never been to the Aran Islands. But I have been to Aranmore Island, off Donegal, off Burtonport. And it's only 3 miles out, but it's a fairly treacherous sound to navigate before you go there.
And it's tidal, you have to plan your route.
Well, it's very tidal, and I'll give you a little story about that. I was on the pier one day. I had a client out there, or 2 clients out there on the island when I was in the financial services business way back in the early 70s. I used to have to go out there, winter and summer, and visit my clients on the island. But I was standing on the pier one day, and these Americans were there, and they were watching the loading of a car to go out to the island, and they didn't have a proper car ferry. They just had the half-decker. So what they would do is they'd get big drums of seawater, the 40-gallon drums, and they'd use those as ballast. And they'd put the planks off the pier onto the half-decker, and they'd drive the car onto that. And the drums were balancing the weight on the non-engine side of the car, So I was watching this ingenious thing. So the guy who drove the boat was a fella called Phil Bawn Boyle, and he was called Phil Bawn Boyle because there were about 1,000 Phil Boyles in Donegal, and he had white hair, so he was called Phil Bawn, and he owned the supermarket and the hostel on the island. It turned out that he owned about 35 houses in Galway as well, but gas man. So with a straight face, when the American said, tell us about this, what are the gallons in the drums? What's that all about, the water in the drums? And the man says, by the time we get over to Leave Garrow, he says, on the far side, he said, it could be low tide, and we want to be able to drive the car straight off. So we empty the drums into the water, and the boat rises up, and we're able to drive the car off at the far side. So your man goes back up the pier, and it hits him about a couple of minutes later where he knows he's been had by Phil Bawn.
Welcome, darling. Yeah, and what's the island like? Is it rocks? Is it green? Is it Armagh? What's it look like?
That's pretty nice. Well, back then, I don't know what it's like now, but it was reasonably well populated. And it's only 3 miles out, but it's very, very treacherous, the passage out there. It can get very, very rough. The currents are appalling, but very nice. Yeah, quite green. Tracks, not roads. But lovely people, great people.
Yeah. How do you describe yourself, Pat?
I've been described as many things.
The polite ones, I'm sure.
We'll keep it polite. Yeah, there might be children listening. I don't know. I would say that I'm somebody who is driven. I'm fairly passionate about what I do. I have to believe in something. If I believe in it, I'm going to go for it, and then I'm like a lunatic. I become almost addicted. Well, not almost. Can remove the almost to Jane, my wife, assistant. She'd say, no, you don't need the almost. So I would be addicted to trying to make a success of something.
And you're always like that, Wayne?
I was always like that for as long as I can remember, yeah.
And do you accept defeat easily?
No.
Is that what drives you? The lack of success or the failure? You know,
Yeah.
it's Michael Jordan thing, you fail 13 times before you succeed. That sounds very passive, but if you're driven, failure is not good.
There is always been something in me. I mean, I call it, I have a word to describe it, and I use it now and then. It's called striving. And I've written about this in the past. In fact, I put it into my forward in my one and only book that I wrote 20 odd years ago. Mm-hmm. But I think that striving is kind of defines, I suppose, what I'm about, because striving is something, it's about never accepting that anything is over, never accepting the concept of never.
Does it make you constantly restless, John?
It makes you, well, no, I think it gives me an energy.
Can you relax, for example, and switch off?
No, it gives me an energy. You know, I mean, some people have it. I mean, I would call it, and I'm just, referring to what I wrote before, but it's a natural tendency not to accept things as being over. And if you hold on to that inner determination to get up and go again, which is what you're talking about, and to try and go quicker, harder, smarter, and making use of whatever you think will give us an edge the next time. I would draw a lot of analogy to sport. I mean, I was a rugby nut in my day, and I draw an awful lot of analogies from sport. I think sport is an incredible instructor for life. It really is. The parallels are enormous.
I do agree with you.
Really, really enormous. There's teamwork, but there's leadership. There's learning to accept bitter truths that you don't want to accept. There's learning to accept disappointments, and there's far more disappointments than successes in sport. And it's such a good rehearsal for life, for your afterlife.
In fact, I maintain you learn more from losing than winning.
You do. You have to have this belief that you can survive against stiff competition. You have to have a realistic prospect of always been there or thereabouts. And I think I've come to terms with it because I think it's a willingness to accept unconditionally the spirit to compete without the guarantee of a successful outcome. I mean, a lot of people think, I'd like to go for that as long as I'm guaranteed. It's the same in business. Are we guaranteed? Are we actually going to win this contract? Are we going to make this sales pitch? Are we going to get... No, you're not guaranteed anything in life, but you're prepared to give it your all. And you know you can lose, but it's the knowing that you can lose propels you to succeed because you don't want to lose. But we do lose, and we lose all the time. But then we have to take what we learn from the loss. And there's a great education in the loss and the disappointment. And it makes us stronger and harder the next time and wiser. And you always want to prove, well, I can do better, or they were wrong, or I'll show them the next time out.
But you have to believe that.
But you have to believe that, yeah. You have to believe that.
And would you have seen that in the likes of your things with Branson and stuff, that they had the same mentality, or was it all easy for him, inverted commas?
No, I don't think it was easy for him. I think, yeah, he surrounded himself with good people, but I think he has a phenomenal energy and a drive.
So when you see him, he is special. He's in the cut above the rest of us?
In some ways. I mean, he was an iconic figure to me, and when I thought about approaching him to help me get my business, Cityjet, off the ground way back, because his brand was the most recognised brand in the UK at the time, so it was even more popular than Coca-Cola, which was incredible. So I said, I got to have a piece of that. I've got to get that brand working for me. And to achieve that, I had to develop the relationship with him, which I did. And it wasn't easy. He's mercurial, and best of luck if you try and catch mercury in your hands, but you don't hold on to it for very long. But yeah, he's special in the sense that he has got an incredible marketing brain. He understands what people want, and he understands what will appeal to people. So, and he is dedicated to giving not just good service, but excellent service. So they're all the good things about him. But he gets distracted easily. He moves on to the next shiny idea easily, like a lot of...
But he is dyslexic. He's like some very unique things that people say, how can you be a businessman if you can't read a balance sheet?
As long as you have somebody who can read it for you, and you can memorize the numbers, and the one thing I would probably take issue with him is that he didn't always surround himself with people who were better than him, but maybe he felt that he was surrounding himself with people who weren't as good as him. I would have had a point of difference in principle with him on that, I would say, in terms of I've always surrounded myself with people who are better than me and who know more about the thing than I do.
That's the secret, I think.
I don't have to be a subject matter expert on everything. And a lot of people listening to this will say he was never a subject matter expert on anything. But I'm a subject matter expert on people, and I have an inbuilt bullshit detector. And I know that even though the person that I'm working with or talking to knows much, much more about this than I do, I know when they're spoofing, and I know when they're giving me a credible story. And that's the difference. I think that you have to have confidence that you understand people.
Is that something you've had intuitively?
I think so.
Because you trained as an accountant? You worked for Winchester? Or
no, I didn't train as an accountant. I came through financial services business. I started in the bank at a young age, 17. The bank was not for me. We parted ways fairly early after about 3 years. I went into insurance broking and I learned my trade and as a salesman. And I became the managing director of that business I joined. At 26, I was the MD of that business. We were going through tough times, but I had come up with an idea to develop affinity services for teachers as an affinity group. That business is now called Cornmarket, which is very successful now, but back then it was known as savings and investment. So I learned a hell of a lot. I was 17 years building that business, and then we sold it to Winchester, to Craig McKinney, and I stayed on there for 3 years, and I decided to leave after that because I wanted to do something else, and I cashed in the rest of my chips, and I did very well out of the transaction. It was, as a relatively young man, at that stage, when I came out of there, I was about 37. I was looking for something else to do. And quite by accident, I ended up in the airline business.
And you weren't interested in aviation before that?
Well, I was. I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't, because I was a pilot.
You got into Aer Lingus, did you?
No, I was a private pilot. I owned my own aircraft. I was very into the aviation. I liked flying. I really liked flying. And
Do you still fly?
No, I gave it up. I gave it up a number of years ago on the basis that I was doing enough flying. I got so busy with the business that I was doing enough flying to be legal, but not enough to be safe. Yeah. So I said, no, it's a dangerous sport.
No, I couldn't get into Aer Lingus when I left school in those days, and then I'm doing my PPL in the States. And as we get kids in life, that's time you can't keep them medical up, your hours up, and in the end, it's a passion still today, but I don't fly, obviously.
I did it very intensely I flew for 25 years. I probably did a lot of intense flying for about 5 of those years, flying a lot of different aircraft types, exciting aircraft, including Sea Marquettis and all that kind of stuff. But I had a little business going with that, with the Air Corps. So before I set up Cityjet. But yeah, I sort of was always fascinated about the airline business, and I just, had to go and have a look for myself. People always told me you could lose an awful lot of money, and I had to go and find out how much, how fast.
And you look back at the experiences, good, bad. Given your personality, do you blame yourself still for things that could have done better?
Of course.
Every entrepreneur lives with that. The mistakes keep popping through your head.
They do. And I wish I could be better at putting them down, because they well up inside of you, and they really make you feel pretty shit. You have to deal with them. You can't run away from them. I probably indulge them too much for my own good.
But it's reflected and dwelled. And
again, if you go back to sport and you look at particularly golfers, like my 2 lads are very handy golfers, apart from other things they do. But I'm always amazed that the very odd time they would hit the most outrageously awful shot. Not on the right fairway, but not even in the right parish. Except, of course, those fellas can hit the ball so far that
it almost comes back.
Well, you need to send a search party out to get it. But they get up and they hit an incredible shot the next time, because they just forget about the one that they missed. And they're able to do that. They're able to just, no, I have this, I have it sorted. I know what to do. I know what I did wrong. I'd love to have that.
No, professional golfers are frightening.
They are.
Because they hit a shot and they move on.
They do.
We kind of dwell and wallow and, and even if you get a par, you go bogey the next hole.
Yeah.
It affects it.
Like in aviation, there's a sort of a saying is that like runway behind you is useless. So stop thinking about it and focus on, have you got enough runway ahead of you to get this thing off the ground, or are you going to abort? And that's the rule.
And that 71 final we'll touch upon, is that defeat still playing in your mind? Because very close from all the reports, it was a close match.
It was a close match. I think I'm just about, it was 50 odd years ago, and I think I'm just about coming to terms with the fact that we actually didn't win the cup. Because we could touch it. We were in the 3rd minute of injury time and we were ahead, and we lost.
That's sick as a parrot stuff.
It was horrible. It was awful.
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy, Barry Keatley? He seemed to be a hero.
He was a hero. Barry was...
what he did in that campaign was incredible.
Yeah, he scored I think he scored all but 3 of our points. Newbridge had beaten Blackrock the previous year. So they had really upset the apple cart and won the thing. And they had a lot of guys underage. And we had a lot of guys underage because we convinced the school to take us back. And we said we'd win the cup if we came back for an extra year. So Barry was immense, yeah. I mean, he was quite incredible. I mean, he was a well-built guy, big guy, huge guy for scrum half. Amazingly fast over 5 yards, incredibly fast, but a wonderful footballer and a rugby brain and an amazing kicker.
And you not going further after school?
He played for Clontarf initially, but Barry got Barry quite young, and tragically his wife died and he had 2 young boys to bring
real
up.
life
So
comes in.
Real life comes in, and again, to be able to play serious rugby, hold down the job, bring up 2 young boys, very difficult. So the rugby suffered. But he was an amazing talent. Yeah. He really was.
Now, you just read the reports, you see where some of these guys, like all of us, they in life, they don't go to the next level even though you think they should.
Yeah.
Is Irishness important to you, Pat? Being Irish? Is it something you travel all over the world with, or it's insignificant?
I like being Irish. It matters to me to be Irish. And I have found that it goes down well, generally, with other nationalities. They tend to seem to hold us in reasonably good stead. I think we're welcomed. People always say the welcome of the Irish, but I always think there's a welcoming for the Irish when you go abroad. So yeah, being Irish matters to me. It's about people, it's about community. I get very irritated with a lot of the Irish institutions, and I would not be a massive fan of an awful lot of the things that we do and that we don't do as Ireland Inc. But in terms of the warmth and the quality and the depth of sincerity of the people, I want to live in that community. I don't want to live anywhere else. So as a place to live, bring your kids up in, bring your grandkids up in, I don't think you can better it. And I really love the Irishness of being Irish. I'm not always a fan of Ireland.
Yeah, I get that.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. And you've always lived in Ireland.
I've always lived in Ireland, yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying, is I've lived a lot abroad, and there's 2 different things. And you always get that good reception when you're abroad, for reasons not Ireland increasing, but because we have that way about us. We're not casual, but we're accessible.
Well, I think that Irish people, I think that we get it. And I think that it's noticeable in other nationalities that, you can see different traits, you can see different trends, whatever, but very few other nationalities.
Here at Blue Apron, we know exactly how hectic school nights can be. That's why we created Assemble and Bake. Delicious one-pan meals that make family dinner simple. Just assemble the pre-chopped ingredients and put the pan in the oven to bake. Then you're free to help out with that last-minute diorama. Shop Assemble and Bake at BlueApron.com. Get 50% off your first 2 orders with code APRON50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit BlueApron.com/terms for more.
Taste the Mediterranean at Whole Foods Market with a vibrant selection that captures the flavors of the region. Shop coastal favorites like responsibly farmed whole bronzini and jumbo white shrimp, and pair them with specialty pastas, robust olive oils, and aromatic sauces directly sourced from the Mediterranean. Want a fast and easy dinner? Grab refreshing Greek salads and tortellini from the prepared foods department. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market.
As a generality, get it to the same extent. And getting it means getting people. Your man is a spoofer. Your man's having us on. He's pulling our leg.
It's the BS detector you talked about earlier. We have that inbuilt.
We really have that.
Yeah. And whereas other countries and nations, nationalities don't necessarily, not by our standards.
Yeah. And we're able to laugh at ourselves.
Correct.
And we do, and we're very good at that, you know, because we don't take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Some of the time we do. And I'm very guilty of that. but I try not to be.
And resilience, what does that mean to you?
Oh, gosh.
I've seen it written that you embody resilience in some ways with your business here, history and personality.
Resilience, in my case anyway, I think it's an affliction. Because it just means you just won't accept. You won't accept no. You won't accept it can't be done. You just aren't thinking or trying hard enough if it can't be done. Now, okay, there comes a time when you have to be mature, and there comes a time when you're actually trying to do something that actually genuinely really is impossible to do. And you have to recognize that. And you have to take counsel from people, which is not easy for someone who sort of always wants to be driving something and doing it, their way. You have to be prepared to take counsel. But I think generally resilience really means it's tough, it's really shitty, but there is a way around this. We just haven't found it yet, and we're going to keep at it until we find the way around it. And I think resilience also means that you have to be prepared to compromise, because if you're just blindly resilient, foolishly resilient, and saying, no, we're going to keep doing the same thing, well, that's the definition of insanity if you keep getting the same result. So resilience to me is not to lose sight of the objective, but to be absolutely prepared to learn that you're doing it the wrong way, or you've tried the wrong way. You're going to try new ways. You're going to amend it. You're going to bend it, but you're still going to get roughly west. The roughly west navigational system has always served me well. We're going to head roughly west.
And low moments, have you had them? Really low moments personally? Are you that kind of mood swinger?
Yeah, I am a mood swinger, but thank God they don't last long. I'm not putting that down to any inbuilt antidote that I have in myself for it. But I think I'm very, people who are close to me are very good at not tolerating it, which is great, because it's good for me, and they don't want me to be a pain in the ass to them. So I get gently booted by people that I love, which is good. That's a help. So I don't wallow in it, but I do have low moments, yeah. But I think everybody does. But I think you have to not be overly self-indulgent. You got to kick yourself and say, come on, nobody died. We're still alive.
And that's more than a cliche, I think. You know what I mean? You have to be able to do that. I've had two other airline people in here, Paul Ricada and Dec Ryan. Yeah. And Dec Ryan will tell you he suffered from depression for years. You have to find your way out of it eventually. It takes time.
It's a great man, Dec.
He's, don't get me going.
Great man at helping others too. He's fantastic, yeah.
And now he's very, very good at that now.
I'm not a religious person, but I would say Dec is a Christian. He's a good Christian.
Yeah, he's a good person. But he's been through hell and back and different things. But as you say, the resilience, which is no plain word now, gets you through when you see things differently and makes you reflective and help others. It's not a silly, soft, religious thing. You just see where people are in trouble because you've been there in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think also too, if through your life you've asked for help, then you have to pay it back.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to the people that gave you the help, but to other people who ask you for help.
The other people come along.
Because that's the way the system has to work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what have we got? We're just a bunch of selfish morons,
And a most ecstatic moment, Pat, that you look and say, that was iconic, that gave me energy for a week, a year, a couple of years.
Very hard to pick out the most iconic or ecstatic. I mean, like the older you get, you begin to live to a degree you live some of your life through your kids and through your kids' achievements, through their moments. And they give you phenomenal joy and pride and everything else, I'm really lucky with our kids. I mean, I've two daughters from my first marriage, and Jane has a son from her first marriage, and then Jane and I have the two boys. They're all very, very close. But the five of them they're so central in our lives. And they've given us incredible moments and continue to give us incredible moments, in their careers, in their personal lives. Their disappointments are ours. Their successes are ours. It's great. So I've so much good moments from them. Going back, good moments. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them. Hard to say one particular thing, I mean, was getting the first flight of Cityjet off the deck, actually seeing that thing get up in the air. Was that a moment? It probably was. But then you don't enjoy it because there's so many things that are going to go wrong, or you only get the next flight out, the next one, and whatever, But little things like that. But, there were some great moments of joy, though, over the years, and a lot of it to do with family.
Yeah.
I must say, really special moments.
Would you have heard of the two boys, would we? They're playing rugby. Would we know their names, would we? Because they've been through hell and high water sometimes, haven't they?
They have. Yeah, they're tough guys. They need to be.
How close are they in age?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. But they're fantastic mates. They really are. They're fierce competitive animals. And until fairly recently, until Ross moved to Gloucester, I mean, they were competing for the same jersey in the same club, which is kind of a bit special, I suppose, made for very interesting conversations around the table at home. But, they would really be very, very competitive, but also incredibly helpful to each other. And they talk a different language. I mean, when you're in a conversation with them, they're talking about attack language, and it's quite incredible. It's like Chinese, and so it's amazing, but it's completely different code. They're also they're very great students of the game. They have an insight into the game that's, I think, quite unique.
The different breed of animals. But are you frightened when you see younger people like your sons playing rugby, the physicality of the game, compared to my time and your time? Guys are bigger, flankers are 10 times the size you and I were.
Yeah, I think when Ross went professional, we were sort of saying, holy Jesus, because some of the, he broke through very early, and he found himself in very big matches very early in his career. Probably thanks to Johnny breaking down a few times, which was good, but that was very helpful because it got Ross valuable game time. But sometimes we had our hearts in our mouths. But we actually began to become really confident that he and subsequently Harry as well were very, very good at taking care of themselves. So to keep themselves in very good shape. But obviously, and that's down to the whole regime that they're in and the environment and everything else. But they are very good at taking care of themselves. We became very confident that we could kind of not have to watch it from behind the sofa. So we got easier with it. And then the anxiety came, it was replaced very quickly with, will they do well? Will they be picked next week? Will they if they're on the bench, are they going to get on at all? They're looking at the watch. Jesus, come on, there's only 15 minutes left. Is he going to get on? Is he going to get on? So other anxieties creep in. And what you want then is you just get totally caught up in, you want them to be successful. You want it for them because that's what they want. That's their chosen vocation for now. And so you want the best for them.
It changes your enjoyment level, doesn't it?
It does a little bit. It's like being almost like a selector or a coach. I mean, in my day, I did coaching and selecting way back. I was always exhausted after, if you watch a match as a coach or you watch a match as a selector, you can't enjoy the match because you're trying to watch for too many things and make mental notes about who's doing what and who's not doing what and whatever. When you're watching your sons playing, you're watching them. You're really watching them.
You're a parent.
You're a parent. You're a parent, yeah. And it's like being on the sideline when they're in the mini rugby all over again. Being those insufferable parents, shouting at everybody.
Yeah, it happens. Do you think we're an entrepreneurial nation more so than other people, or is that narrative?
Without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I think that if there was a way of measuring it per capita, I would say we are way up there.
What do you think drives that?
I think it's our history. I think it's the fact that we're an island. And I think that we have always had to punch above our weight, always. I think that's what drives us. I think as a race, we're trying to prove ourselves, I think, all the time.
I think things have moved on from your time, my time, where we were more apologetic. Now people state things as they are. I'm quite confident whether it's London or New York. It's a different type of Irish person. It's
a very well-educated Irish person. And when you think about the jobs that our young people have here now and the companies that they actually work for, and then you think the number of spin-offs from that where they do their few years in a tech company or a pharma company or whatever, and you read about them and they're talking to angels and venture capital people and they're raising money and, incredible. Yeah. And because they have an idea and they have this incredible energy and this commitment to go and take their idea off the island and make it an international accepted idea. It's incredible.
Well, going back to that point, the olden days, you have an idea, but you didn't think you would go anywhere. Now they have a belief of an idea.
Oh, that's right.
And it's so different to hear people talk. In my time, we'd be afraid to say boo.
Yeah, we would be afraid to say boo. And, they behave like rugby referees. I mean, their whole attitude to life is there any reason why I can't award the try? When they have the conversation with if the TMO is their conscience or whatever, or their banker or their backer, they don't think there's anything wrong. No, we have got over the line and we're going to get over the line again and again and again. They're so confident, which is wonderful.
I think it's great.
It's incredible. And I think that's down to, I think the education system is good. I think the support structures are good. I think there's a great awareness among our young people. They're very well versed in current affairs.
Yeah.
I mean, and contrary to all the crap you hear about. Oh no, they're only into social media. Yeah, but even the social media they're into, they are informing themselves. It's not just all chit chat and drivel. They really are informed. They're very, very well informed. And take them on in a debate at your peril.
I have 2 daughters. Trust me, I wouldn't do that. Is music important to you, Pat?
Yeah, I love music. I've always loved music. I mean, I was a child of the 60s. I grew up with the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Mamas and Papas and the documentaries I watch. I watch all of those. Laurel Canyon, I don't know if you've ever seen
on Joni and all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 hours of that. Yeah, I mean, it's quite incredible. I mean,
it's amazing the people who lived there at the time.
Unbelievable.
Incredible.
What a rich vein of talent that was there. And everybody who was everybody sort of started there, which was quite incredible. So, but right through, music has been it's been the soundtrack to my life, really. I think, I've just always loved music. I always had an ambition to be a drummer in a rock band. And
we have a Dave Byrne look about you.
But I'm not musical, unfortunately.
And what songs would come to on your playlist now that would take you through those?
Yeah, I suppose I try and move with the times, but I always end up going back to
Mama's, Papa's,
but I mean, like, who do I really get? I love Paul Brady. I've met him. I'll tell you a story about him. I was invited to, I don't know if you know Ron Bulger. Have you had Ron Bulger?
No.
Ron, KPMG, an ex-chairman of Aircom, and Ron's a lovely man. And Ron was having a party for Jenny, his wife. They live out way beyond Enniskerry, out in Glencree. And he was having a birthday party. So he invited Jane and myself. Anyway, we were lovely house and whatever. We were all sitting down for grub. So he organised it that we were sitting with Paul Brady and his wife and himself and Jenny having the dinner at the party. It was fantastic.
Was he relaxed?
Very relaxed.
Because when he's relaxed, he's great.
But here's the story though, right? So it's about 11:45 and he looks at his watch and he very politely says, he says, if you could excuse me, he says, I have to go. I said, I have a bit of a thing on tomorrow. And I, of course, naively said, what are you doing tomorrow, Paul? He says, well, I'm headlining at Glastonbury. And he was.
Yeah.
And he was the headline act next day in Glastonbury. But I think he's fantastic. And it was, I like so much of his stuff. And he's so varied. And I don't even read his book.
I have really.
It's a fantastic read.
Yeah.
And he epitomizes to me, it's not just about his music, it's the man. Epitomizes to me resilience.
Well, he and I corresponded on Instagram regularly. He Heart Station when I lived abroad, and the songs on that epitomised what it was like to be an immigrant and how tough it was.
Yeah.
And that song still resonates. He plays in Conway's Many Nights in Blackrock on Thursday night, Cadence Curatory. Those songs and lyrics to me are powerful.
Yeah, but you look at, the titles of the songs, like Crazy Dreams.
Oh, Crazy Dreams,
Nobody Knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. Lakes.
Nothing but the same old story. Come on. It's a soundtrack for life. It really is, I think he's fantastic. My oldie kind of favourite, probably Windmills of Your Mind.
Oh, yeah.
Nielsen, even though I think Dusty Springfield did a better version. Al Stewart, You're the Cat. God, that takes some beating.
Yeah.
Like even
1975, was it 76? Yeah.
Like Rupert Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
That new thing? Yeah, we've got it. The Drop by GNC, bringing you all the newness that matters. Handpicked by the pros who actually know what's up and what's proven to work. We keep you on top of the trends and dialed into what's next. Whether you're crushing it at the gym, leveling up your game, or thriving every day, The Drop by GNC is where the latest solutions in health and wellness land first. Non-stop innovation and fresh finds daily. Explore what's new and what's next on The Drop by GNC.
Taste the Mediterranean at Whole Foods Market with a vibrant selection that captures the flavors of the region. Shop coastal favorites like responsibly farmed whole bronzini and jumbo white shrimp, and pair them with specialty pastas, robust olive oils, and aromatic sauces directly sourced from the Mediterranean. Want a fast and easy dinner? Grab refreshing Greek salads and tortellini from the prepared foods department. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market.
So my wife would be giving out to me afterwards saying, you didn't mention any females. but I got Dusty Springfield.
You got Dusty Springfield, yeah. And poetry, is it the quotes you fly around with literally in your head?
The only one that I'm very taken with narratives I come across. I love words and I love well-written pieces. I love that. But I suppose poetry, I'd go back to my real early schoolboy days and I suppose Gray's Elegy. It's about the cows winding their way home and whatever. But I can't remember most of it. But the end of the sentence of the bar is, and like a flower born to blush unseen and wasted sweetness on the desert air. And it's about the flower or the wild rose stuck in behind the thistles or everything else. And, and nobody's ever going to see that. And I always thought that was such a tragic line, but very emotive. And
it paints a picture, yeah.
It paints a picture.
Like the work doesn't really go unnoticed. It may go unseen, but the work is important.
Your work is important, yeah.
Yeah, and people always want to get the attention,
that's
the award.
That's right.
Verbal or otherwise, yeah.
I would think that poetry, though, I think that U2 and, Bono and The Edge, I think if you look at just the words, the music is brilliant, but the words are amazing.
Yeah.
And I find that even though they've been around for a hell of a long time, their writing has got better with the later albums. Didn't have the same, maybe acclaim, but when you look at the words, Songs of Innocence, for example, amazing, a very, very amazing album, really. And I would say the lyrics, if there was a Nobel Prize for lyrics on an album, I think those lyrics to me are poetry. They are poetry.
Yeah. No, sometimes I ask people about quotes about being Irish, and there's a kind of an age thing comes into it, Pat, because my being Irish is a different. Young person told me we're not like that at all.
We're from the black and white days.
Ed O'Brien talking about the chastised trees. We're not like that, and mollycoddling and mud and U2 to me epitomised our transition.
Yes, yeah.
In middle 90s.
Yeah.
Right in Vegas, and U2 were playing. That never happened.
Yeah.
An Irish band on FM radio in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Who was going to say?
Yeah.
And they changed being Irish abroad for me.
And Riverdance.
It's all the same decade.
An interval act on Eurovision, 1994, could actually galvanise. In fact, you could say that it was concurrent with the kick-off of the Celtic Tiger, which had its good moments and it had its not so good moments. But when you think about what Riverdance did in terms of putting Irish folklore, it was a channel into a lot of what is traditionally Irish, but it was done in a very
modern way, contemporary way, and made Irish dancing trendy.
And it went down as well in China as it went anywhere else. It was fantastic.
I remember going to see in Radio City in New York, and it was incredible to believe that's what we're looking at in New York.
And it's still going.
Yeah, it's still going. Yeah, and so is Michael Flatley,
Yeah.
When you look back at your life, Pat, not in a modelling sense, are you amazed at where you got to? Or is this, have you met your expectations, or you thought you had a plan, the plan worked out, or was all being ad hoc?
I think I've only arrived at the stage of my life that I actually can deal with that question now.
Yeah.
I think anything up to maybe...
I ask you because we're not dissimilar in age.
Yeah,
you come to a point where you can reflect.
But I think even if I was facing that question 5 or 6 years ago, I would have hidden behind the excuse of, I don't have time to think about that because it's not over, I'm still driving. I think the stage that I'm at now, I think the learnings from my kids, the joy of having the grandchildren, I think, you get to a stage in life, now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, when I look back, I think I've actually had a fantastic life. And I don't think that, and maybe it's human nature, but I don't think I appreciated how much of a good life I was really having while I was having it. And I think there's a huge lesson in that. You have to celebrate good moments.
Correct.
You have to celebrate.
I think we all make this same mistake, Bet.
And I think we need to recalibrate, I need to anyway, recalibrate my definition and my interpretation of success. What's success? Is it about money? Is it about social prestige? It's not. It's about, have you had a good life? Have you got good people in your life? Do people in your life think well of you? Have you served people well? That's what success is. I think that the older you get, the more you realise that's what a good life means. I think.
For me, for me, can I sleep at night, and have I done myself not proud, but that day have I done the right more than wrong things. There's no hurry anymore.
And the other thing I've learned too is, goes back to the golf shot, my golf shot rather than push shot, the one, because I have so many, I'm the worst golfer imaginable. If I want to get my revenge on somebody, I'll make them play golf with me, But you can't beat yourself up for your mistakes. You can't.
No.
And guilt and regret are two things that they carry no value. They weigh you down. They'll eventually kill you, so get rid of them to move on.
And you do business advice still or not?
Oh, I do, yeah.
That's the kind of message you pass on to other people?
Yes, absolutely.
And do they really firmly believe you? I mean, younger people think we're old codgers, maybe.
They do.
And we talk nonsense. Yeah. Everything's about winning and not losing, blah, 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 where we've all been.
Yeah.
And do they listen to you?
No, I think you have to be very careful, because with Afterburn, which I'm doing now, I mean, I'm making strategic interventions for people, obviously at their invitation. Yeah. I think that you have to be very careful that if you get into, I'm stopping short of mentoring the individual. I'm mentoring the business rather than the individual. I think you really have to be invited to mentor the individual. You have to be terribly, terribly careful. And you don't have a right to say, well, I'm going to fix you. You don't. You can certainly help them with their business issues, and you can help them with their team issues, and you can help them with, key principles. But it's very difficult to get into that space of, I'm going to reboot you, because I know myself, I wouldn't take too kindly to it. I'd have to be very, very trustful. I'd have to have a really strong relationship established. But reshaping a business and the personality of a business, that's different. That's okay. That is something that you can do and should do, and you should do it, aggressively,
And if somebody was setting up a business and wanted to be an entrepreneur, what words of advice would you give them? Stay at home or do it?
Think again. I would always give people encouragement to follow what they think they want to do. I think, though, I would encourage them to take counsel. Yes, they want it to be their idea. Yes, there's two things that people often say about entrepreneurs, or people who, I even hate that word, entrepreneur, but people who drive businesses, want to have a business. They say, oh, it's an ego trip, or, oh, God, you're very stupid, you're very naive. The two things that you actually have to have if you're going to be successful in business is you have to have an ego, and you have to have a fairly good dollop of naivety. Because when you think about it, if you didn't,
you wouldn't go there.
You wouldn't try it. You wouldn't start it. But surround yourself with good people, and primarily people who know more about it than you do, and people that you're prepared to listen to. Yes, you want to be the leader, and that's grand. But a good leader is an exceptional listener, and you have to listen. You don't always have to take the advice, or you can modify the advice, but you have to listen. And if you're not going to take the advice, at least you have to be honest with yourself and say, well, I did consider the downside, I did consider the alternative, and I've decided for the following reasons, I'm not going to take that advice today, and I'm still going. But at least you've now qualified your direction and your strategy a little bit more. No, I'd always encourage people to have a go, but it's not for everybody. And if you look at the way we're all made up, you can't have 100 captains on a team. But 100 captains on a team without support players aren't going anywhere anyway. They're not. So it's really about getting that yin and yang into a team and build it out, and, recognize that people have different talents and different skills, and try and bring it all together. I would encourage people, but I would certainly encourage them to eyes wide open and ears even more open than the eyes.
Pat Byrne, thank you very much for joining us today on Aran Discs.
Thank you, Rasa.
That new thing? Yeah, we've got it. The Drop by GNC, bringing you all the newness that matters, handpicked by the pros who actually know what's up and what's proven to work. We keep you on top of the trends and dialed into what's next. Whether you're crushing it at the gym, leveling up your game, or thriving every day, The Drop by GNC is where the latest solutions in health and wellness land first. Non-stop innovation and fresh finds daily. Explore what's new and what's next on The Drop by GNC.
With almost 500,000 customers and over $1 trillion of secure payments, Bill isn't new to intelligent finance. It's the proven way to simplify bill pay and maximize cash flow. Want to learn more? Visit Bill.com/proven for a special offer.
To tip off this NBA season on FanDuel, you can choose your own rewards, which means you can play your game any way you want.
I get to choose my rewards?
Yep.
Great! Now, excuse me while I lock in.
All customers choose your own reward right now in the FanDuel app. 21 plus and present in select states. 18 plus in Kentucky. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirement, and max wager amount. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.